Correspondent Jonty Bloom has been investigating. What have you found?
Well, a couple of weeks ago, Eddie, we covered a story about a show called UK Construction Week and made accusations of sexism there. And then I got approached by people saying, that's nothing, you should look at MIPIM, the property industry shindig on the Med. And I spoke to people who say the show is rife with casual and persistent sexism, drunken parties, and surrounded by huge amounts of prostitution. I've heard women tell me they've been once and will never go back, and of behaviour by men that would basically shame a 1970s rugby tour.
Is the industry starting to react to these claims?
Yes, certainly is. The Royal Institute of British Architects says it's aware of reports of inappropriate behaviour at MIPIM, reminds members of its code of conduct to report inappropriate behaviour, and now women in the property industry like Tamsy Thompson, who's director of the London Festival of Architecture, are launching the Elephant Campaign to fight the elephant in the room, discrimination and sexism in the industry. Tamsy has been to MIPIM several times, but she says it and conferences like it can be difficult for women to attend.
There are women who are there as sexualised objects used to sell materials or whatever that might be. That doesn't make you as a woman going into the environment part of the wider peer group.
There were also accusations that there's a great deal of prostitution around this event as well.
Yes, I've heard those as well. I think it's really difficult because it's very hard without going and interviewing every person there to identify whether they're a prostitute or not.
There were accusations that last year prostitutes were using the conference hashtag on social media to drum up business, and even that some attended the opening drinks reception. MIPIM itself responded to those accusations by saying under no circumstances does it register prostitutes. But as Tamsy points out, the conference hall is not the main issue.
The sort of problem areas, if that's what we're talking about, are often in the evening, outside of the event itself, was what happens in bars and restaurants and things out of hours, and it's very, very hard for any event or anyone to regulate that or control it, which is why we want to make people responsible for their own behaviour and their peer and colleague behaviour.
Does all of this make the property industry an industry women would want to work in?
Well, that's why they've launched this campaign, because they need to get more women. They want to get more women in it. But it also means it's much more difficult for women to get on. A lot of this unacceptable behaviour is happening in hotel rooms and at private parties and on yachts and so on. And women like Tamsy aren't even invited.
No, absolutely not. And because those sorts of networking opportunities have those characteristics, women wouldn't be invited, which means ultimately you miss out on the networking opportunities. So we should be creating an industry where we're making use of all of the talents, because let's face it, we have a number of issues that we need to solve, not least the housing crisis. And one of the things that always occurs to me is how much better might we be at kind of dealing with those things if we were actually using all the talents within our industry and having an industry that better reflected the society that it serves.
Is this linked to other stories we've heard recently? We heard about the President's Party.
Yes, and that was attended by many property companies. This is not just a MIPIM problem. Leanne Triton is the managing director of Inge, a communications agency whose clients include the organisers of MIPIM, and she's been 15 times. I asked her if she'd seen instances of drunkenness, sexism and sleaze around the conference.
I think all of those things are an issue. It does affect how the property industry is viewed. There are a lot of men who go to those events who behave well. We're talking about a very small group of the industry. And I think what is fantastic now is everybody is talking about it. Whereas perhaps there was a sense of acceptance, boys on tour kind of thing, which was never right.
Now, this initiative, what do you think it will actually change? What behaviour do you want to see stopped?
Sort of sexist behaviour is really important, that's stopped, being sleazy, that sort of thing. But actually, let's look much deeper at this. We have some structural issues within the industry where women are not reaching the top. They're not represented to the same degree. Let's keep this argument going well after MIPIM and make sure it's going through organisations who attend MIPIM long after this is over.
What does MIPIM say?
Well, it says the safety and security of its clients are its top priorities, and it's to remind delegates this year of its code of conduct. But part of the Elephant Campaign is for delegates to wear elephant badges so women know they have a friend in the room, someone they can trust, someone who will stand up for them. And you have to think, what does that say about the atmosphere at this and other events in the property industry's calendar that women think they need to do something like that?
Jonty, thank you. Jonty Bloom. Now, I was asking earlier about how you like your snow, or rather how you like us to describe the depth of snow, because we've used centimetres and inches on the programme tonight.